Hey there, what's going on? Not a lot of people camp on a regular basis. Let's just throw that out there as a fact. Even I don't camp very much. I'm out in the woods like constantly, but I don't really do a lot of overnight stays. And I'm not saying that camping by definition is like an overnight activity, but because you can like day camp, you could set up a camp during the day and then come back home at night. I mean, there's all kind of ways to go camping, I guess you could say. But it's just kind of one of those things that in terms of actually doing like a weekend stay, or a partial weekend stay camping, not a lot of people do that. And in fact, I'd probably have to say that maybe once or twice a year is kind of an average now. And of course, there's a lot of families that don't do any camping. And then on the flip side, there's probably families that do it like maybe once a month. So, I mean, there's like all kinds of families. But I'm talking about the national average. From what I can see, once or twice a year is probably pushing it. And so for those people that really have little motivation or even reasoning to buy like a lot of camping stuff, like just gear, what kind of things can you do, especially if you're on a budget and if you have no motivation to better your camping gear layout? And of course, the answer is real simple. You could either borrow gear from friends or family, which I see that quite a bit. That's not uncommon, and it's really not a bad idea. It's really probably a pretty smart idea. But if you don't have anyone to borrow stuff from, or you just don't like the idea of it, because if you did damage something, you'd feel like, you would have to replace it, and there's all kind of mixed feelings about these things, then I would invite you to just use what you already have. And just make it an adventure. Just like if you have kids, just make it like an adventure just to see what you can do on a weekend. And a lot of times, if it's just a day or a day and a half that you're out and about in the wild and you're just spending maybe one night, which is pretty common, just one overnight stay, and then the next day you go home at around noon. How much stuff do you really need to survive a few hours, literally? I mean, we're just talking about maybe a day or two at most. And the answer is you don't need much stuff. I mean, you just don't. Even if you don't have a tarp or tent, even if you don't have a proper canteen or special water filters or special freeze-dried camping food or camping axe, and if you don't have any of this stuff, you're okay. You're actually okay. Of course, it's good to learn some skills and stuff so you're not totally oblivious of how to do some things. But plastic sheeting, that you may have if you painted a room in your home recently, a drop cloth, maybe towels, maybe bandanas, maybe you have a tarp, that you cover something, maybe like a lawnmower at your home. If you probably have some of this stuff, right? Just borrow that stuff. You probably have a home first aid kit, right? If not, maybe one in your car. You can just borrow that for your camping trip instead of worrying about all this stuff you need to buy. Most of us have some type of metal container, or some type of foil container that we can cook in or at least put stuff in. We typically have coolers that we could put ice from our refrigerator and keep things cold, at least for a day or two, right? I mean, we just really don't need much. And if we're worried about cooking out in the wild, we can just bring stuff that requires no cooking. I mean, we won't die. Even if we didn't eat anything for a day or two, we're not going to die. It would just be uncomfortable. I'm not advocating doing that. I'm just saying we worry about all these little things that, other people have, or is this, some type of certified camping gear. And we don't need to worry about all these labels, especially if you have a family and you have some younger kids and stuff. They don't really care if that was the best item out there on the market or if it's the cheapest. If it just works, it works, and they're having fun and they're enjoying the nature, the wilderness, the forest, wherever you're at, then so be it. It is good to have a little bit of a plan before you go out in the wilderness, especially if you only do this like once a year and you have kids, maybe some activities planned, maybe a few games that you bring with you. Because, kids might get bored. They might walk around for a few hours in the woods. You may walk with them and talk about the trees and animals you see. But they could start to get bored. I wouldn't bring, like, video games or nothing like that. Probably no electronics. But maybe a board game or two, or maybe you have different games that you can do together that are interactive. And so that's cool. But in terms of the actual gear, once again, look around the house and maybe in your toolbox or in your shed, your barn, your garage. I mean, people have stuff, you know? You don't have to go out and buy a special tape for your camping adventure when you have a big roll of duct tape at home, you know? I mean, there's like so much stuff we have at home, and we can repurpose that stuff. So you can just use what you already have. And it might even be a good challenge to see what kind of camping experience you can have this year with just the stuff you have, and make a point not to buy anything new. And that's kind of hard for me to say that to some degree, because I am a little bit of a gearhead, a gear junkie, that I like the new stuff. You know, well, at least a lot of the new stuff that's out there. Some of it is actually considered camping stuff. Some of it is for hikers. Some of it is for bushcrafters and survivalists. There's all kinds of brands and labels. But when it comes to the stuff that we just need and that makes our life more comfortable, regardless of what it's called and what it's labeled in some sense, who cares? And what I found out is most of the time, just the simple things in life is the best way to go. And if all you have is a butcher knife, and that's your utility knife and your camp knife, so be it. You know, who cares if you don't have an actual, you know, bushcraft knife or survival knife or a proper outdoor woods kitchen knife? I mean, we don't really care, you know, in the moment. If everything is working, if that butcher knife is cutting when it needs to cut and it's fine, and you're safe about it, it doesn't matter really. It actually just doesn't. So I'm going to sign off now, but hey, thanks for your support. And if you have any thoughts about things that you use, or if you can remember and you know, and you want to share that in the comment section, do so. Things that you use that are common household items for camping, for those that, once again, that do this on a very irregular basis, maybe just once or twice a year, and they may not have a budget or any motivation to purchase anything, or they may want to just do this as a challenge, like a family challenge, to see what kind of experience they can have and how creative people can be in the family. And so that could be something that you could do. Maybe every family member is allowed to pick 5 to 10 items. You just pick whatever number you want, and you just have them pick, you know, those items in the home that you already have, and they get to bring it with them on this weekend camping trip. And collectively, you guys see what you can work out between everybody to make things more comfortable and to see what kind of fun you can have. Now that is camping. Thanks for watching.